And like I said previously, I'm presenting this paper with my colleague Nomazulu and myself, Kayi. We are from the University of Eswatini. My presentation outline will consider the following: the introduction, the purpose of the study, method, uh, findings, conclusions, and recommendations. Uh, re- uh, Introduction. The coronavirus pandemic, uh, 2019 COVID-19, is hastily spreading and bringing pressure and challenges to international students in higher education institutions who were locked down on campus during the COVID outbreak in 2020. We sought to explore psychological experiences of international higher education students during the COVID-19 pandemic in Eswatini. uh, Exploring psychological experiences of international higher education students during the COVID-19 pandemic lockdown is important for the students' well-being, and that has also been documented in literature. The pandemic caused drastic shift from face-to-face to online learning in many institutions of higher learning. Our study was underpinned by the ecological systems theory by Brenner of 1979. And then when we look at the ecological systems theories, it includes four interrelated levels, and these are the macro system, mesosystem, exosystem, and the macro system. So when we talk about the microsystem, it incorporates the macro system incorporates the immediate environment surrounding the individual and those with whom the individual interacts with. In our case, the individual was the international students, and we wanted to explore how the different subsystems are nested around this individual who were the international students. So the macro system incorporates the immediate environment surrounding the individual and those with whom the individual, who is the international student, interacts with, such as friends, families, educators, and wardens. The COVID pandemic raised challenges for higher education institutions that had to drastically migrate from face to face learning to online delivery to ensure continuity of learning. So, this had impact also on the social economic status of the international students, as the students are from different backgrounds. So considering the meso system, it involves connection between settings such as in the relationship between home and the school. So the COVID-19 pandemic has forced leaders at many universities, including ours, to take drastic measures that affect how educators and students interact and socialize with one another. In the case of our study, students had to self-isolate in their halls of residence, and then the learning shifted from face-to-face learning to online learning. And then considering the exosystem describes the setting in which the individual is not directly involved, but somewhat which nevertheless affects them. This may include experiences in the social setting in which the individual does not have an active role, but nevertheless has influence on the experience in the immediate context. For instance, parents, most of during the COVID pandemic, most of these learners' parents lost jobs because they were laid off, as most businesses were not operational. So there was stress that parents were experiencing, and the stress also affected their family life and the financial security and how they supported the learner. So regarding the microsystem refers to the larger social and cultural environments in which all the other systems exist. It considers the wider environment and draws mostly on attitudes, ideologies, culture, and beliefs that have direct effects on other systems. So in our case, the system included the international student psychological experience of COVID-19, where their closest individuals provided support and skills for their survival. And these were mostly like the Ministry of Education, and also the Ministry of Health, educators, and friends. So uh, regarding the gap that we wanted to close, the studies that seek to explore psychological experiences of international students, uh, of international higher education students during the COVID-19, like in need in Eswatini. And the purpose of the study, like I had indicated previously, it was to explore the experiences of COVID-19 on international undergraduate university students in Eswatini, particularly their psychological well-being, learning, and coping strategies. And we had three research questions that guided our study. The first one was, what were the international students' main psychological experiences during the COVID-19 outbreak? And then our second question was, what were the changes in the international students' lives since the COVID pandemic? And then what were the international students' coping strategies for the COVID-19 crisis? And then our study was qualitative, and then we specifically utilized the phenomenological design by Kolese. And the reason for this is that the Kolese's phenomenological method emphasizes on the experiences and feelings of participants, and also stresses on shared patterns and not individual features in research. This design also allowed for genuineness of collected experience of the participants to allow us observe scientific standards. Uh, Participants and setting. Participants were 15 conveniently selected sample of international undergraduate students from one institution of learning in Manzini region of Eswatini. There were 8 females, and that's 53% of the undergraduate students who were locked down during the COVID pandemic and during the period of March 20 to September 25, 2020. They reported on, we also looked at some demographic variables such as the age range, and their ages range from 20 to 30, their nationality, their religion, and level of education. These were mostly level 3 students who were in level 3 and level 4 of their study. The procedure for the study: permission to conduct the study was granted by the Ministry of Education and Training in Eswatini. Participants were informed of the aims and the procedures for the study, and we were also cautious to observe the COVID-19 prevention measures during during the time when we were conducting the study. Participants individually consented to take part in the study, and then they completed the consent forms, and also we individually gave them a package so as to avoid meeting them in a crowd. Like each participant was given a package which contained their consent form, the invitation letter, and also we were explaining about the aims for the study. And data collection: The participants reported on their demographic variables such as gender, age range, level of study, nationality, and religion. These were important for us to maybe explain certain ideas that were going to come from them. They responded to individual interviews on what were the main psychological experience of COVID-19 pandemic, coping strategies, and insights amidst the pandemic. Probing was used to encourage participants to share more on their psychological feelings of COVID-19, coping strategies, and insights amidst the COVID pandemic. Our interview outline was piloted for contextual relevance of constructs, and then interviews were conducted in English, which is an official language of participants, uh, and by both myself, and these were conducted by myself and my colleague. And then interviews were audio recorded, and then the audio recordings were transcribed and translated into English using the forward translation procedure by Africa Scholarship Development Enterprise of 2019. Each interview lasted for approximately 25 minutes. And then we ensured a steady trustworthiness through observing credibility. And then this mostly was done through use of member checks. And then credibility checks included interviewing the participants in their institutional settings with member checks, just to check for accuracy of responses that were given to us. And then cross-checking the interview records for accuracy during multiple times of during the data collection process. And then our data, we analyzed data were analyzed thematically, utilizing the procedures that were suggested by Collage or 1978. And this included familiarization with the data, then categorization, and then synthesizing the themes. Uh, then our findings included four major themes. The first theme had to do with the negative emotions that were present in early stages, and then the coping strategies. Growth under the crisis was the third crisis, and then the positive emotions that occurred concurrently with the negative emotions. Then regarding our first theme, negative emotions which presented in early stages. Uh, participants basically uh, participants reported to experience discomfort caused by uncertainty of COVID-19 pandemic. And then also I have example statements of what the participants, what came out from the participants' transcripts. So basically, the participants experienced discomfort caused by the uncertainty of COVID-19 and the drastic shift to online learning brought anxiety and fear. In this study, participants' concern was about the seriousness of COVID-19, which forced them to be isolated from their lecturers and peers, as well as their families. The rapid shift to online learning has had substantial negative influences on both the overall learning experience of international higher education students and their psychological well-being. The finding of this study mirrors what previous studies have reported among university students, especially in developed countries, about psychological well-being of academic experience of university students during the COVID-19 pandemic. Literature from Browning and others, like in the US, Australia, have reported a similar finding. Moreover, the finding indicated that participants were anxious and fearful about their own health and their family's health due to the rapid spread of the COVID-19 virus. the COVID-19 pandemic has evolved into a serious threat to education, causing economic and social uh, uh, causing problems to the economic and social health sectors. And also it has geographically spread and lack of cure for effective treatment also brought about the fear. Consequently, participants' fear of health and their family disrupted their concentration for online learning. They also experience a sense of helplessness due to the fear of contracting the virus and being isolated in this country in Eswatini. The acquiring of information by participants about COVID-19 update, which relied on their peers and family, is consistent with the microsystem domain of the uh, ecological systems theory. There is research, and then moving on to our second finding, which has to do with the self-coping strategies. And the finding revealed that participants adopted humor and isolation as their coping strategy to psychologically adjust to COVID-19 situation. The pressure or the pressure of COVID-19 pandemic caused the student to actively make psychological adjustments. The participants did this by adjusting their lifestyle to observing preventative measures or behaviors against COVID-19, such as social distancing, wearing masks, washing and hand sanitizing. The participants also adapted prayer as their coping strategy during the outbreak. Seemingly, the adoption of prayer could be consistent with their religious belief, which is in support with what other previous studies among university students have also reported. In addition, the finding showed that participants engaged in teamwork initiatives that reflected greater solidarity for survival. This is where students contributed money to buy bundles to sustain their online learning and also to just eat healthy meals. So then again, I have a bit of the the verbatim quotations for participants. And then growth under the crisis. And then there were major themes that came out of that. And then the participants shared in self-reflection of their own education. That is the shift from online, face-to-face to online learning, and gratitude for just being alive. The finding in our study revealed that engaging in online learning temporarily preoccupied the students to forget about the crisis. The participants demonstrated positive efforts. They demonstrated positive efforts such as expressing more appreciation for health, family, and gratitude for social support, which previous studies have also confirmed. Further, also, the students took the initiative and to seek team support to adapt to internal changes such as shift to online learning and observing of the COVID-19 preventative measures, the external scare of contracting COVID-19, environment changes which enhance their psychological well-being. The shift to online learning and initiative to seek team support by students highlight the relevance of the microsystem domain of the ecological systems theory. And then again, I have a bit of the verbatim quotations from participants. Then looking at our last theme, which is positive emotions occurred concurrently with negative emotions. The findings of the existence of positive emotions in participants such as calmness, relaxation, and happiness occurred concurrently with negative emotions such as fear, anxiety, and discomfort during the first week of the pandemic. Other studies have also reported the presence of negative emotions during COVID crisis. For instance, Browning and Doty in the USA and also in Australia. Then the participants seemingly believed that positive emotions were generally related to support from peers, family, institutions, and the Ministry of the Ministry of Health here. Apparently, social support was critical in overcoming stressful situations for these participants. The calmness, relaxation, and happiness of the participants after taking part in COVID-19 training, which was offered by the Ministry of Health in conjunction with the Institution of Higher Learning, made the participants sort of relax about contracting the the virus or the COVID pandemic virus. Our finding in this study revealed that the psychological experiences of COVID-19 crisis sort of strengthening our participants were sort of strengthened from seeking social support and also promoting COVID-19 observing COVID-19 uh, preventative measures such as wearing of the mask in public and also washing of hands and sanitizing. So in conclusion, I would say during the from our study, during the COVID pandemic, negative and positive emotions of participants uh, occurred concurrently and were like intertwined. And then self coping strategies and psychological growth played a critical role in maintaining the psychological well being of the international students. Then our study provided preliminary data for further psychological intervention to enhance online learning, teaching and learning in higher education institution. The participants in higher education institution appeared to be somewhat resilient in coping with the COVID-19 crisis and abrupt shift to online learning. So our recommendation is that understanding the psychological experiences of international students under COVID-19 lockdown is critical for mounting of interventions that support their well-being, also which may ultimately enhance the positive learning outcomes for these learners, especially that there's this shift to online learning. Thank you so much. There are my selected references, and thank you so much for listening. This is the end of my presentation. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you for sharing your presentation with us. So I see some of the participants here and some of the attendees clapping for you. We all clap for you. And any questions, please, from the attendants? We have 3 minutes if you have any questions. So please go ahead, unmute yourself and pose your question.
I have some. It's not related to the technology what she presented. Do you have a lot of foreign students in your country, and may know their diversity, please, from where they are coming, and how many? I'm not familiar with the country. I'm sorry. And if you give me some information, it will be really helpful. Thank you.
Excellent.
Thank you. I'm not sure. I didn't get the question, but it's like maybe the participant was asking where we are from. Eswatini is a small country within South Africa. I think most people will be familiar with the geographical location of South Africa. It's a country in Southern Africa. And then Eswatini is a landlocked country within South Africa. There are two landlocked countries in South Africa. That is Eswatini, formerly known as Swaziland, but they changed the name in 2018 to Eswatini. And also there's another, it's actually referred to as the Kingdom of Eswatini. There are two kingdoms within South Africa, Kingdom of Eswatini and the Kingdom of Lesotho.
Mhm.
I don't know if I addressed the participants.
Thank you for that information. Do you
Okay.
have a lot of foreign students, a lot of international students?
Yes, we do have a lot of international, mainly from neighboring countries within Southern Africa, such as Zimbabwe, Lesotho, Botswana, and Namibia. So we do have a lot of international students.
Yep. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So as a quick follow-up, I'll just ask another question, which is somehow related. So you talked about level 3 and level 4 students in your study. And I understand this is post high school, correct? So post higher education. Is it equivalent to bachelor's degree?
Yes, this is
Internationally?
equivalent to bachelor's degree. These are level 3 and 4 students. Like these are like students who are in the 3rd and 4th year. The 4th year is usually considered here as the final year of bachelor's degree, of them
Yes.
acquiring their bachelor's degree.
Good, excellent. Yes, so just think because the different education level might correspond to different to other nominations or the way we address them in other countries. Very good, excellent. Do you have any plans for follow-up study, or because you're still probably under COVID-19 restrictions, still also delivering instructions online?
Yes, we are still doing that, but we are slowly opening up to the face-to-face, especially with the introduction of the vaccines now. So then now we want to do a follow-up like study now to also like just see how they are coping now.
Excellent, thank you. We hope to see probably the follow-up study and your research next year also.
Thank you so much. Yeah, we'll try and present that next year, hopefully.
Welcome. We move
Thank
now
you.
to our next presentation with the evaluation case study of online course during pandemic period in Mongolia. And our presenters are Yurashimag Tudevdagva from the Technical University of Chemnitz and from Germany, and Mongolian University of Science and Technology, Mongolia, Bazaracha Sodnom and Solange Erdenemchimeg, Mongolian University of Pharmaceutical Sciences, Mongolia. And I have some acquaintances and some friends from Mongolia. Usually I don't say their full names, so hopefully I gave you credit due when I pronounced your names here. Please go ahead.
Hello, I'm extending the greetings of this day, and first of all, thank you very much for giving me this opportunity to share my presentation here. And I am Selenge Erdenchimik from Mongolian University of Pharmaceutical Science. Actually, I'm chemist. I got my PhD from Japan 2014, and this topic is a little bit different from my research topic. And today I'm presenting the evaluation case study of online course during pandemic period in Mongolia. And Mongolia is landlocked country in East Asia. It's sandwiched between Russia and China. And in Mongolia, we have 7 pharmaceutical universities, and the Mongolian University of Pharmaceutical Science, the leading private university in pharmaceutical science. It was founded in 2000, and we have pharmacy, traditional medicine, pharmaceutical engineering and technology, and nursing programs. Also, Drug Research Institute and GMP pharmaceutical industry are the main components of our university, and it was the great advantage of the training to conduct a combination of training, research, and industry. And so in the Mongolian pharmaceutical marketing, about 70 to 80% of pharmacists graduated from Mongolian University of Pharmaceutical Science. And COVID-19 pandemic affected to many business sectors and also educational sector. And faculty members of our university were not prepared for digital change in a short time, but due to the COVID-19 pandemic, government announced a lockdown for a long period and many times, and to keep the education process, the university needs to change teaching mode. And starting from the second semester of last academic year, 2019 to 2020, the Mongolian University of Pharmaceutical Science moved from classroom learning to online learning, as well as the first semester of last academic year, a total of our 3,000 video lessons, our 400 enclosed files, our 40,000 online test database, and also our 18,000 hours of electronic lectures, seminars, and workshops were organized under the basis of the cloud program. And from here, total of 36 subjects or 93 credit hours, including general academic, professional foundation, and specialization, are taught online to first to fifth grade students in pharmacy. Now, pharmacy students study 5 years in Mongolia. As of the first semester of 2020, a total of 1,277 students are studying at the Mongolian University of Pharmaceutical Science, of which 1,062 students are studying the pharmacy profession. And our study involved 552 students, including 52 male and 500 female students. It means about 52% of students participated in our research. In our case, there has never been an online course before, and the purpose of this research is to determine the advantage and disadvantage of the online learning and what to look for in the future. For self-evaluation of online course, we selected the structure-oriented evaluation, SURE model. The SURE model has developed by the Professor Oranchimik, first author of this presentation for evaluation of e-learning. SURE model consists of these 8 steps to evaluate the selected objects. And from this slide, you can see first for steps of SURE model, and first definition of key goals, and after that definition of sub-goals, confirmation of goal structures, preparation of questionnaire, and confirmation of questionnaire, collection of data. When questionnaire is ready, data should be collected by objective ways, and we used Google Form online tool. And then process of data, collected data should be processed by mathematical rules of the SURE model. There exists an online calculator for the SURE evaluation. And last step is report of results. The processed data will be shown via table from online calculator. The 4 main evaluation scores are available from table. General evaluation score, evaluation scores for key goals, sub-goals, and also evaluation scores of each participant. The evaluation of online course, and we have 1,062 pharmacy students in Mongolian University of Pharmaceutical Science. From them, about 52% of them participated in our questionnaire research. And here is a step from 1 to 3. These first 3 steps are focused on definition and confirmation of evaluation goals. And first, lecture quality B1, seminars, practice, laboratories quality B2, teaching performance B3, teacher skills for e-learning B4. And here is definition of sub-goals. To reach defined key goals, here described sub-goals. And here is, for example, first one is lecture quality B1, includes content of lecture, lecture lesson, time management, online synchronic lecture, offline video lecture, and like this 5 sub-goals. And seminars, practice, laboratories, quality includes 6 sub-goals, and teaching performance includes 4 sub-goals. Here is preparation to lesson, teaching method, oral skills, and technical skills. And teacher skills for e-learning includes 5 sub-goals here. Preparation level, files for lessons, motivation for students, communication with the students, also feedback, speed and style. And next 4 and 5 steps, the focus of these steps are questionnaire. In step 4, questions based on sub-goals structure have to be formulated. Example of questions showed in this table. Formulated questions should be checked and controlled by all interested groups of evaluation results. Only tested and accepted questionnaires can be used for data collection. And here is example of question. Evaluation indicators, for example, this case is a lecture. The content of the lecture was clear, and students can choose disagree at all up to 30% agree, 31 to 50%, 51 to 75%, 76 to 100% agree. And the step 6, data collection is very important part of any evaluation process. Objectively, in good time, collected data can increase probability of final evaluation score. For objective data collection, we applied Google Form as an online tool. This slide shows our questionnaire online Google Form. Step 4, the collected data should be processed by the sure evaluation rules, main mathematical rules defined based on goal structures. To process the collected data by online calculator, the original data should be transferred to comma-separated vector files. And last step, the sure model calculated for different evaluation scores. And now I'm going to result our evaluation. And 162 students studied professional pharmacy in Mongolian University of Pharmaceutical Science, but only 552 students sent response, and it was 52% of all enrolled students. From them, 500 were female and 52 were male students. And also physicians of traditional medicine, and we have 97 students, and about 62% of them participated in our research. And pharmaceutical engineering and technology, we have 41 students, about 61% of them participated in our research. And nursing, 72% of them participated in research. But in this presentation, we will introduce only pharmacy results. And the reason for some students not participating in this process was the hard accessibility to the internet in rural areas. And because after lockdown, city lockdown, many students went back their home country, and so there is no internet access in countryside. So they use only phone data, internet, and Wi-Fi, and so it's very hard to access internet. And here is our result. And general evaluation score is 0.7, and it is about 70%. It is not so high, and expected of professors who teach selected course. And key goals are similar to general score. Here is lecture quality, seminars, practice, laboratory quality, and teaching performance, teacher skills for e-learning. And these 4 key goals are very similar, and 0.75, 0.68, 0.73, 0.75. And there is no key goal which could reach our 80%. That means professors need to do detailed analysis on each key goal and to focus on weak points of online teaching. And this slide shows highest and lowest score in our result. A worst score 0.59 received is offline video practice. That means students cannot accept or adapt to studying from video by themselves because online course is very new and first time for instructors and also for our students. Further reasons can be not well-developed self-study ability of students or quality of video lessons couldn't meet expectations of students. And here we need more detailed study to find out the reasons why this score is the worst and how it can be improved in next course. Best evaluation course 0.73 and 2 goals, and one is preparation level and another one is files for lessons from 4th key goal, teacher skills for e-learning. Students are satisfied with teacher skills for online teaching, and also students respect the efforts of teacher for the preparation of online course. However, 73% is not 100 and not full satisfied, but there are a lot of space for improvement of teacher skills for e-learning. And in conclusion, for the first time, the teachers provided the students with the contents and understanding of the course, lecture and seminar, laboratory works and internships. Due to the specialty of the medical science, especially pharmacy, there is a lack of skills and internships for online course. This research shows that pharmacists gain skills through the real internship, not online course. And our research has shown that internet connections and computers and hardware have a significant impact on online learning. This first self-evaluation show faculty members of Mongolia University of Pharmaceutical Science a way to evaluate e-learning and learned lessons that will be applied for further professions and online courses in the future. And thank you very much. If you are interested in Mongolia and also cooperate with us, and please contact with us. Thank you very much.
Excellent, thank you. I see applause and from Yuran Shimek, who's the professor who conducted this study. As I